How about a little bit of dodging and burning, lightening and darkening? In your exercise files for this chapter, you will find Mr. Elephant right here. Now, the name that I've given the elephant is actually the name from the company Photospin where I got that image. And the reason I keep the name as the number is because some people sometimes ask me where I got an image, and I say, well, say photospin.com. And they say, no, where did you get exactly that image on Photospin? And they do actually have a lot of images of elephants. This way you know the number, you know where to get it. Photospin.com. Let's go ahead and open that guy up. Say, how'd you do to Mr. Elephant? Now, what we want to do here is we want to lighten some of the areas up and maybe darken slightly some of the other areas up to give it a more even appearance. It's not really necessary. You talk to a lot of photographers, and they appreciate Photoshop like I do. They love it. But they don't want to do too much because they want the image to appear more natural. And I agree, but you have to understand, there's a natural world out there that's three-dimensional and dynamic, and my eyes process it constantly. And there is a static, two-dimensional world of photography. If I were moving down this elephant in the real world and looking at him, or actually her, I have no idea, basically my eyes would compensate for these areas in here, and they would allow me to see more detail. So in my opinion, manipulating an image to lighten and darken some areas does move it out of the world of a photograph. But I think it moves it into the world that we live in. So let's do this. Here's my dodge tool. I already have it selected. We'll start with lightening up some of the areas. Now up here, we have a range. I want to do a range of shadows. I want to get into the darker areas. And I'm going to change the exposure. That's way too much. Now you can do that by double-clicking, typing in the number 20. To me, that's the fastest. Or you could use your up and down arrow keys any way you want to. Change that to about 20. Actually, I think the number is going to change based on how aggressive you want to be. And remember, exposure only does up to 20% as long as you're holding down your mouse button when you're brushing. It won't do any more. So you can spend some time in a leisurely way and do it exactly the way you want it to be. I do want a bigger brush, so I'm going to use my right and left bracket keys, which is kind of nice. Something about maybe like that. And we're going to come over here to background and press Control-J to give a copy. Why? Because this is destructive editing when you're using this tool. And I want to have a before and an after, or maybe I changed my mind, I want to go back to the original. All that done, come over here and click and hold and just begin moving. Now these are going to be subtle moves. By that I mean, if you try to do too much, it's going to flatten the image out. It's not going to look natural anyway. So I'm going to keep going on this area until I get that full 20%. Again, I'm not planning on making it look like there's a spotlight down there. I just want to lighten it up just a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to let go of the mouse. And I'm going to move over here, a little bit of a smaller brush, and let's just lighten up some of these areas down in here. Come down here, maybe get a little bit of that trunk and under here, but I'm going to avoid that highlight area. So this is a brush technique, if you will. Okay, I like that. So let's switch gears now and maybe do a little bit of darkening. But before we do, let's see what we've done so far by turning this off. It's a subtle effect. If you watch it while you're doing it, it becomes more obvious when you see the original. I think I want to tone down these areas just a little bit. So we're going to go into our burn tool, which means darken. We'll change this to highlights. And I want my exposure this time at about maybe 15. I don't want to do a whole lot here. All right, we come down to about here. And what I want to do, obviously, is make that brush bigger with my right bracket key. That's a little bit too much. And then just begin very subtly painting in these areas. Now, since we're choosing highlights, the cool thing about that is if we get too much into the midtone or darker areas, it really won't impact it because it's only being controlled by that one area. Okay, and again, as long as you've got your finger on the mouse, you're only going to get that 20 or actually 15%. Okay, let's stop there, let go of the mouse, come over here maybe. And again, we can look at a before and an after. Now, to me, You're generating an image that's beyond film, unless you do something like HDR photography, and you're making the image look a little bit more like what I saw or what they saw when they shot that photograph. Dodging and burning. In the next lesson, we'll look at a creative use of sponging. On to the next.